We're going to start with this lesson with a little bit of a review of multiplying. Remember, multiplication can use parentheses to show multiplication or a multiplication symbol. So this first one obviously is just 20. And then remember, when you have an exponent, if you're multiplying exponents with the same base, you add the exponents. So this would be x to the third. And if you're multiplying powers with the same base, you add the exponents, so y to the seventh. And if you have multiple things going on here, we have numbers, the coefficients, and x's and y's, you do one thing at a time. So the signs first, positive times a positive is a positive, then the coefficients, 4 times 5 is 20, x squared times x, again is x to the third, and y to the fifth times y to the seventh. Y squared is y to the seventh. Do one thing at a time. There are two learning targets in today's lesson: polynomial vocabulary, classifying by degree and number of terms, and adding and subtracting polynomials by combining like terms. This first part of vocabulary is really a review because we've talked about these in the past. Remember, monomial, mono means one. That's a term that it is a product of numbers and variables with a non-negative integral exponent. In other words, it can't be negative and it has to be a whole number. It cannot be a fraction. So this doesn't have any addition, subtraction. It's a multiplication problem, and looking at the exponents, they're not negative and they're not fractions, so this would be a monomial. So yes, this is one. This one, though, has a negative exponent, so this is no, it is not a monomial. This third one has two terms and an addition sign, so this is not a monomial either. If it has an addition sign or subtraction sign, then it's not a monomial. And this one is, even though it doesn't have variables, it is still a monomial. Bi means 2, so there's 2 terms. Tri means 3, so 3 terms, 1, 2, 3. And poly means many, and so anything more than 3 terms we just say is a polynomial. Polynomials can be classified in 2 different ways: the number of terms, so monomial, binomial, trinomial, polynomial, or by the degree. The degree is the highest exponent. So if I look at these, I can classify it by degree or by the number of terms. You will have to do this, so make sure you have these memorized. So the degree just tells us the highest exponent. And then I'll talk a little bit more about this in just a moment. So here, there is not a variable term, so that means that the degree is 0. Here there is a variable. We can't see the exponent. That means it's 1. Here, there's my variable. There is not an exponent, so that's 1. So you find that exponent. So if the degree is 0, we say it is a constant. If the degree is 1, like these two, you know this, it's linear. So if the highest degree is 1, we know it's linear. If the highest degree is 2, that's the unit we were just coming off of, it's quadratic. If it is 3, it's cubic. If the highest degree is 4, it's quartic, and that's as high as we need to worry about. Again, if there is one term, like these two, it's monomial. If there are 2 terms, like the 3x and the 1, or the 4x to the third minus 8x, if there's 2 terms, it's binomial. 3 terms is trinomial, and anything more than 3 terms we're going to say is polynomial. I'm going to hold off talking about this one for a little bit and just concentrate on this. There are 3 terms, so if I'm classifying by the number of terms, it would be a trinomial. And then I want to look at my highest degree. It's a 3, so I can say that my degree is 3, so it's cubic. So this is a cubic trinomial. Along with practicing the vocabulary today, you're also going to practice adding or subtracting polynomials. You have done similar things throughout the year when you combine like terms. So remember what like terms means. The term has to have the same variable with the same exponent. When you add or subtract, you need to decide if you like the horizontal way to do it or the vertical, and I use both and I will show you both. So I'm going to start with my highest, which is 5x to the third, and I'm going to go over the second term, the second expression does not have an x to the third, but the third one does. So I'm going to underline it one time. 5x to the third plus a negative x to the third is 4x to the third. And then I'm going to find my next highest, which is the squared. There's 1 in each of them. So 2x squared plus 3x squared plus 4x squared. Remember, we add the coefficients, but we leave the exponent and the variable alone. So 2 plus 3 is 5, plus 4 is 9. So this is 9x squared. Then I'm going to go to just my x terms. And I have, remember that the sign goes with the variable. So I have negative x minus 4x. That gives me a negative 5x. Don't drop those negatives. And then the last are my constants. So 7 plus 7 is 14, minus 8 is 6. So it's a positive 6. That's how you add polynomials horizontally. If I were to do this vertically, let me just erase this. If I was to do this vertically, I would just line up the different terms vertically. So I have my x to the third. I only have one other x to the third. So I'm going to just start with this right here. So I'm going to just rewrite lining up the like terms like we did when we were solving systems by combination. Now I'm going to go to my second term, 3x squared minus 4x plus 7. And then add in columns. So 4x to the third minus x to the third is, I think I said 4. 5x to the third minus x to the third is 4x to the third. 2 plus 4 is 6, plus 3 is 9. X squared, negative x minus 4x is negative 5x. And 7 minus 8 is negative 1, plus 7 is 6. So we end up with the same thing, just here we did it vertically versus horizontally. Alright, so I'll start with the vertical for the subtraction problem. What I want you to remember with subtraction, after you line up your like terms, because it's subtraction, remember you have to change it to adding the opposite, but it's not just the first term, you have to change all of the terms to its opposites. So now I have 2x squared minus 3x squared is a negative x squared. Negative x plus 5x is a positive 4x. And negative 3 plus a negative 4 is a negative 7. So I have negative x squared plus 4x minus 7, and I combine these vertically. If you like horizontal, you can do the same thing. Again, I just caution you with those negatives. If you are subtracting right away, just like we've done in the past, change it to adding, and then change all of the terms after that to their opposites. And then underline as you go. So 2x squared minus or plus negative 3x squared is a negative x squared. And I am going to underline the x's twice. So I have negative x plus 5x is a positive 4x. And my constants is negative 7. Again, be very careful with negatives.